Alright, so there's an elephant in the room again. And before I get into today's previews and discussing rosters for next year, let's discuss that elephant in the room. And I know I'm wearing Vancouver and Washington because it doesn't matter. I'd be wearing Nashville, but I've been wearing that Nashville jersey a lot lately. I love that yellow jersey. I don't know what it is. So anyways, Nashville's down 2-0. And I suggested last night that maybe going to UC Saros would help. Today, Peter Laviolette would not confirm his starter for Game 3. Doesn't mean Saros is in, but he could be. Pekka Rinne has slowly been watching his numbers drop. Let me take a look here. Article I'm reading here, he had a .976 save percentage against the Blackhawks, .932 save percentage against the Blues, and a .925 save percentage against the Ducks. He had a .944 save percentage going into this series against Pittsburgh. Now, I know there's been own goals. I know it hasn't been all Pekka Rinne's fault, so don't get me wrong. But it is not unusual for a team in this situation to say, we've got to change something big. And sometimes the backup goalie is the best way to go. Saros is a good goaltender. I watched him in a number of games this year, and I really like him. I think he is going to be a starter. I think he is worthy of a start or two here and there. And I realize this is a Stanley Cup final. It's a ton of pressure. But in back-to-back games, Rinne's numbers have not been good. Nashville has outplayed Pittsburgh in 4 periods out of 6. And they're losing the series 2-0. At the very least, give Rinne a rest. Because they're almost in the we don't have anything to lose category. If Rinne goes in Game 3 and gets bombed again, then Game 4 you're coming back with Saros. So you might as well do it in Game 3 before it's do or die. That's my opinion. Now, if Marek Mazanek was the backup, I'd be like, no, stay with Rinne. If the backup was just some nobody, I'd be like, stay with Pekka Rinne. But going into the playoffs, I was talking up UC Saros. I like him a lot. He's a very good goaltender. He played roughly 20-some games this year and put up good numbers. .923 save percentage. He's not just an average goaltender. Like, average numbers this year, I think the average was .915 was an average save percentage, and that's what Tuukka Rask put up. It's part of the reason Boston failed in the first round. UC Saros is yet another European goaltender. It's kind of come out of nowhere, and I really believe he's the future for Nashville. And going into the playoffs, when Rinne's numbers weren't great, I was talking up how I believed Saros could be their starter as soon as next year. Now, Rinne getting them to the Stanley Cup final, that alleviates that for now. But I'm telling you, don't assume that just because he's been riding the pine the whole time, that the backup goaltender for the Predators is garbage. He's not. He's a very good goaltender. And he has a tremendous future. And again, in my eyes, it doesn't hurt. I remember Cam Ward going in. I believe it was Artur Serbe got bombed the first 2 games by Montreal. And Cam Ward went in. It was like, well, whatever. This is over. And Carolina won 4 in a row. Carolina won the Cup that year. On the back of a goaltender that nobody had anticipated would be a Stanley Cup winner. It's funny, too, because while it may seem crazy to put Saros, a rookie, in ahead of Rinne, look at the other end of the ice. Matt Murray's in ahead of Fleury. Nobody thinks twice about that. Last year during the playoffs, Fleury was hurt. The thing is, Matt Murray, by the end of the playoffs, had proven he was the better goaltender. When Fleury came back and had a chance to win back the starter's job, he failed. It's Matt Murray's. And before last year's playoffs, there were people who liked Matt Murray, but I don't know of anybody who before last year's playoffs said, well, he should be starting ahead of Fleury in the playoffs. It's a crazy idea. It's a crazy idea until that rookie goes in and plays really well. And then suddenly it's a really smart idea by a really smart coach. I have a feeling Laviolette is going to play Rinne tomorrow night. I think Laviolette will be loyal to his starter, the guy who brought him to the dance. But it would give the Penguins something different to look at with Saros in net. Saros does not have that track record against Pittsburgh that Rinne has. And I looked at it, and it's weird. Pekka Rinne's numbers are very good against every other NHL team except Pittsburgh. There's something with him against Pittsburgh, and it sort of reminds me of, and I mentioned Tuukka Rask earlier, it reminds me of Rask with Montreal. Rask can come in, he's playing great. Montreal gets, and there's 5 goals on 15 shots. It's like, what's going on? And sometimes the answer is to go the other way. Like for Boston, there were a couple of times in the second half of the season where they put Khudobin in ahead of Rask because Rask didn't have a good record against the team they were playing. Maybe it's time to give Saros that chance. It's a nice luxury to have 2 good goaltenders. And Nashville has 2 good goaltenders. They have one that, for whatever reason, his numbers are horrible against Pittsburgh. The Game 1 numbers that Rinne put up were the worst numbers of a goaltender who started a playoff game. It's in here, too. That his save percentage... Yeah, his save percentage was .636. Worst in a playoff game since 1967. That's, And it doesn't matter how those goals went in. It doesn't matter who scored them, how they went in, what kind of goals they were. You look at the pure numbers, and it says Rinne, Pittsburgh, bad mix-up. Throw in Saros. A very good goaltender. I mean, I remember in Vancouver, the debate over Luongo or Schneider, who do you start? And Luongo would have a really crappy game against Chicago. And the idea was this. Luongo was poor on the road. For whatever reason. And fans said, and I had agreed at the time, start Schneider on the road, start Luongo at home. And I honestly think if the Canucks had done that in 2011, they would have won the Stanley Cup. They would have beat Boston. Sometimes you got to think outside the box. It's tough with goaltenders. It is. And it would be a hell of a move by Laviolette if he made that move. He's not ruling it out today. And it's not, and as I said, it's not an indictment of Pekka Rinne. Just as it wasn't an indictment of Roberto Luongo back in 2011 to make that suggestion. It's just you got to change something. Something has to change. You're not going to start pulling PK Subban out of the lineup or, any of the top forwards out of the lineup. Switch goalies. Give it a shot. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section below. Let me know why I'm wrong. And don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing around the internet. Again, if you haven't seen Saros play, trust me, he's a very good goaltender. And I really think this could be a good move if Nashville makes it. So let me know what you think. And I'll talk to you again soon.